Hi everyone, welcome back. It's Janine here, and I am going to use the Spring Critter Hugger dies from Fawn today, and I'm going to create 3 cards because this die set will create 3 different little critters. So you'll get the bunny, as you can kind of see on the left. In the middle is the chick, and on the right hand side is the duck that we're going to make. So I'm sort of showing you how we put these little guys together. I've put some post-it note behind their eyes and the sort of mouth or beak area so that I can get so it's easy to place those little pieces in. And then I've stuck his little tuft of hair, which I think is hysterical, on with a little bit of a wet adhesive, and then getting the little cheeks onto him. And he's just the cutest thing. Now you can obviously make these are part of the woodland hugger range, if you like, and there's some there is one for like winter Christmas theme, and also for Halloween is the bat. But I think you could actually make a very cool critter scrapbook page with all these guys. They're big enough for a 12 by 12 scrapbook page. So I might do that. I'm not sure. We'll see. And then I've got a little belly that I'm adding on here. And then, of course, his cute little feet. I just think they're so sweet. And just get the little chicky feet on. And I used, because there was a lot of die cutting, I kind of used the same sort of yellows across all 3 of them, and the same sort of greys and sort of slightly off-white kind of colours and that sort of thing. I tried to use it across the board just because, one, it makes it more uniform if you're giving this away as a set, and also makes it easy when you're die cutting a billion little pieces. So there's the little chick all done. And then with the duck, I'm going to do exactly the same thing, but what I'm going to do for the duck is, no, I didn't do this on the duck. I'm getting ahead of myself. So the duck has a different little beak. He has his own little beak, of course, because he's a different animal. Hello. And so just getting his beak on there, or bill, I think that's what they're called, and his little cheeks. And then also I will add his tuft of hair. Now when you die cut, the main die is the bunny, but obviously the chick and the duck don't have big ears like that. So there is actually a coordinating die within the set that will die cut those ears off. You just have to line it up with the edge of the top of the head and then run it through, and it will take that off, or you could just cut them off. Don't worry, they don't get hurt, so everybody's okay. But there is a way to do that so that you just get your duck or your chick instead of the bunny. I just think it's so clever. Anyway, so again, got the little belly on, and his tuft of hair, and his little tail, and his little feet. Those cute little feet. Oh, I just love them. And then I'm folding the arms in. The idea was that the arms are meant to sort of hold something. So they could hold another die cut element, which I'm going to do today, or they could also hold like a little sweet or something if you were giving it away as a gift. So what I'm going to do for the bunny now is, again, I've got some post-it. I'm just shoving that behind there so it's easy to inlay the eyes and the mouth and nose. But what I did with the bunny is I left, and I should have done this with the chick as well, I left the mouthpiece in there so that when I put the nose and mouthpiece on in a different colour, in the pink, it stands out a little bit more. So you get sort of more of a 3-dimensional nose. It's very subtle, but it makes a difference, I think, to these little guys. And then just adding in the eyes and the inner ears. And no inking today. This is just straightforward die cut, add with coloured cardstock, and then add your pieces together to get the, to get it all together. Lost my words. The die set also comes with the little whisker dies that you can add. I think those are I think they're part of the mouth and eyes. I think they all cut in one piece. so you get the whiskers there. So I didn't add cheeks per se, but I could have actually used a bit of ink, like even on the tip of my finger or a little earbud or something, just because it's a small area, just to get a little bit of a blush where the whiskers sort of start on his little face. So again, got his little feet on and his belly and his little tufted tail. So cute. So for mine, I wanted them to hold something. I wanted all of them to hold something. So in the grassy border die set from Lawn Fawn, I believe I've got all Lawn Fawn here today. There's a little carrot that goes in the garden border. I love that die set. That die set is one for many things you can use that thing for. But there's a carrot in there, so I die cut 3 of these carrots that I'm going to then help my bunny hold. And bearing in mind there's lots of layers of cardstock, so you'll see I have some trouble here, but I left it in so that I could show you what I did to fix it. And really, if I'd thought about it, it could have worked a bit better, but I thought I'd leave in what I boo-booed here so that you guys can see there are a couple ways you can do this. I had some adhesive on the back and I went to stick the third one, which is kind of the one in the forefront. And it wasn't sticking because there's nothing behind that middle one. It kind of wanted to lie flat. So I thought, well, I'll add a tiny little foam dot behind it to get it to stick. And because I already had wet adhesive on there, so note to self, they would not stick. They were just, every time I went to do something with them, they just wouldn't stick. So that glue just was stopping them from sticking. If I'd stuck it first, it would have been fine. In the end, when I kind of got it to stick, it still wasn't doing it properly. I actually felt like it was too high. So if you've got a very low profile foam dot, then that would work, but don't put any wet adhesive on it before you do that and you'll be fine. Then I suddenly remembered I'd seen somewhere online that using strips of cardstock to build up behind something, so that it looks like it's in front, is also another way that you can do this. Now, again, I should have done strips, not little pieces like this, and it also would have laid better. So I had to fiddle and faff with this for a little bit. Eventually it comes together and it sticks really well and it looks really cute. But yeah, so take it from me. If you've got low profile little foam dots, try those. If not, and do one sort of piece at a time or 1 or 2 pieces at a time of cardstock to get it to build up, so that you then get that one that you want to look like it's more forward facing. You get that one to sit where you want it. So like I say, eventually after a bit of fiddling I got it to work, but yeah. And then I'm sticking the little arms straight onto it, so he looks like he's holding on these carrots. So eventually he looks cute. We had some wardrobe drama, let's just say that. So for the little chick, I decided to use these little flowers. These are little, well, I've made them into daisies. They could be any flower, of course, but I've made them into daisies, and I thought that would be cute for the little chick. These come from the not the spring sprig, the little flowers. I think it's called Little Flowers die set, and it also comes with a tulip style flower and also a little, like, what I would say looks like a little plant pot, like a terracotta pot kind of thing, that you can obviously add these to instead. So what I did was I took each of these and I'm just placing them where I think they need to go. I also wanted them to overhang on his little arms, so trying to get it in there, not covering his face too much. It was a little fiddly, but it was alright. It worked out alright, because bear in mind at this point I have no glue underneath the arms of the of him. So I was at this point thinking, how am I going to get that done? But I carried on, and then got the littlest one stuck in the middle there, and I didn't like it straight across because to me that was too uniform. Flowers in nature is not uniform, so when you're creating things like that, make them offset, or it's okay if they were a bit wonky, basically. And then I got them stuck down and just added some adhesive under his arms. I lifted them slightly to do that, to get them stuck in there. And then that's the little chickie. And then for the duck, I thought I had no clue what to give the duck to hold because I just didn't know what to do. And then I remembered the chicken duck die set that is for the tiny gift box. And I remember there was a little umbrella in there, and I thought, how perfect. There is a larger umbrella die that you can get that he could probably hold above his head. But I just thought this little one was quite cute for him to actually hold in his arms like that. And for some reason, the umbrella and the duck, it kind of worked. So I did that in a blue cardstock. So I've got all three of my little critters, and I'm now going to work on the backgrounds. So for the backgrounds, I actually used the largest stitched rectangles from Lawn Fawn, and I used there's 4 dies in there, so I used the first die, which is the biggest one, and then the third one in to create my own frame. But I'm keeping both pieces, and what I'm doing at the moment is putting some post-it tape at the back so that I can stamp in a different color to coordinate with the little critters. I'm using a Stampin' Up diagonal stamp. It's like a background stamp, and I'm using my Tim Holtz stamp platform and lining it up with the bottom section. I will move this over in a minute so you can see it a bit better. And the nice thing about this platform is that it has, you see on the top there, you can see where it says clear. So if I had this facing, if I had a clear stamp in there now, it wouldn't stamp because of how this works. You have to be able to read it when it's closed. So if you can read it the right way when it's closed, then you've got it on the right side for the type of stamp you want to use, basically. Anyway, so I temporarily stuck my panel in there, and then I've used some Highland Heather from the Subtles collection of Stampin' Up ink, which is actually darker than I thought it was going to be. And what I was trying to do here, which clearly did not work, so eventually I gave up, was I was trying to get it to go in the opposite direction in a second generation stamp. What it did was it not only did it not line up because where I had actually put the because I moved it slightly out so I wouldn't get any weird edges. It then offset it slightly, so I left it. I went with it. It's not my favorite one, but it's okay. For the next two, I do not do that. I just stamp them once. I honestly spent the world of pain trying to work out how I could get this to almost have like a crisscross effect. Yeah. So I got the next piece in there and used a So Saffron, which is a very pale yellow ink, onto the stamp again, and would stamp this onto the white cardstock. This is just sort of like, you could use Nina or anything like that. It's just stamping cardstock. I think I've got a Crafter's Companion one, but just a nice smooth cardstock will work. And so I stamped that on there, and after fiddling and faffing I decided against it and I would just carry on as normal. The last one is going to be stamped in some Pool Party ink, I believe, and this is for the duck, and I thought this worked really, really nicely with him and his little blue umbrella. So just getting that inked up again and stamped. The nice thing about stamp platforms, whichever one you've got, is that they do help you to be able to re-stamp if you need to. Sometimes I think I'm too soft with it, and sometimes It depends how inky your ink pad is as well, but they work so well. This one in particular works really well. I am still on the fence about getting a Misty, which is like the original one, and I'm like, it's just the price. That's the only thing for me, is the price. I love the thing, but it's just the price. So I'm still like, maybe. Anyway, I digress. So I spritz with a bit of water. Now these are not reactive inks or anything, but because they are a dye ink and they were still a little bit wet, they did react a little bit. It just gave a little bit more texture in the background, but nothing major. I wasn't expecting it to do anything miraculous like the Tim Holtz ones do, like the distressings. They do amazing stuff, so yeah, but that's what they're made for. So I have 3 card bases. These are just white card bases. They are 11 by 4 1/4, scored at least at 5.5. And I'm just using my Score Buddy. I've had this thing for about 1,000,000 years. I love this thing. I would like to get a bigger version of this because sometimes I have bigger cards that I'm making, like the slimline ones. It's not the end of the world, but it's nice if it works. If you could just score all in one instead of having to move your cardstock. So what I want to do is I want to line up my first frame, and then I'm going to flat stick the middle section, and then I will have the frame that I will actually I want to pop that up on some foam. And I have this foam tape from Crafter's Companion from forever ago. I think they probably still sell it, to be fair, but I've had it a long time, and I have a love-hate relationship with it. Not the tape itself is brilliant. The tape is very sticky. It's fantastic, but I cannot for the life of me. I struggle to get the backing off it, and I don't know how to resolve that. But I have loads of it, and I'm not going to not use it. So what I wanted to do was stick the bunny or the critter flat into, so it looks like it's coming out of the frame. That's the idea. Also, in hindsight, I shouldn't have adhered to his ears. I should have left those and maybe even put them on a bit of a pop dot or a bit of foam adhesive. You'll see in a second, because obviously his ears are bigger than, well, they're just big old floppy ears, so they need to come out of the frame as well. So I have to kind of finagle a little bit just to get him in the right place. So his ears are up and about. So what I'm doing is, and it looks very clumsy here, and obviously the first time you do these, it's always going to be a bit like this. I'm lining them up so that they are coming out of the frame. I do curl his ears a bit to help remind me that I need to do that. And I'm sorry this bit's off screen. Hopefully the next one won't be so bad. But I'm now going to line up and add some foam adhesive around the edges. But can you see what's now at the top? At the bottom of the bunny is actually sort of off that purple striped piece. And that's so that when the frame goes on, it will actually sit as if he's coming out of the frame. So, like I say, I have trouble with this, getting the backing off. Sometimes I pull half the actual foam off, so apologies. But I just wanted to show you that I then would line up my frame to add it on. And so I did all 3 because I didn't want you sitting there watching me fiddle and faff with that backer. But anyway, so what I decided to do was, for the sentiments, I am using the same colour that I stamped the backgrounds, and the stamp set is from Easter Party, I want to say, from Lawn Fawn, and it's just these cute little guys and girls that are dressed up as like bunnies and flowers and things, and it's just got some nice little sentiments. I sort of pieced the 2 together, so you can do Happy Easter as well. And I have these strips of cardstock that are like offcuts from cutting cardstock down, and so they're all the same size, so it worked out really nicely. And I will trim them down so they're not going to go like that, like that against the card, but I'll trim them down in a second using a Tim Holtz trimmer. And I like that I could coordinate the colour, so that it sort of ties in with the, with the background and that. So if I can do that, I do that. It doesn't have to be the same colour, like in this instance it is the same colour, but if I can coordinate it and get it, to sort of look like it's meant to be there, then that's always a bonus, I think. Especially when you're mixing and matching companies. So what I decided, this is old school, so I'm making my own flagons. So what I do, and I'll show you on all three of these because I'll do the other two as well, is I decide on the side that I want to make the flag end. And what you do is you go up the center until however far up you want to go. And then you come in from one corner to the center point, and then I turn it over to make it easier to do the back or the other side. And that way you have your little flag end. So easy. If you have a square punch, you could do this by lining it up in a certain way. But yeah, it's just a really easy, quick way to get a little bit of extra something on there. So what I'm going to do is, because the frame is raised up on some foam, and the if I put the sentiment on with foam, it'll lie squonk, for want of a better word. So I am putting some flat adhesive, some double-sided tape on the end bit that will be on the frame itself, because that will lie flat with it. And then I'm putting some foam dots on the other section that will be on the inside of the frame. I hope that makes sense. And that way your images will lie, your sentiment, will lie flat and level. So just deciding where I want to put these little guys, and then I'm basically going to do the same thing. So this is kind of like repeat, it takes a long time because all the die cutting, but it's kind of like repetitive. You could make a whole bunch of these at once kind of thing. But I wanted to make one of each of the little critters because they're so cute. So of course I had to make 3 cards for you, which I hope you're enjoying. So, and then just getting the last one on there. Now I felt that the white space on the right hand side of the sentiment was just a bit bleh. So I went and not only dug out some glossy accents, which I'm going to add to, and of course it's blocked again, I'm going to add to the eyes and the noses, and then just a couple of elements on each of them. So the tops of the carrots, the inside of the flowers, and the top of the umbrella, as well as their cheeks. But I also, and I'll come back and show you at the end, next to on the right hand side of the sentiments, I didn't like that there was almost like a white space. So I went through my stash, and this is a good time to do things like this, and I just went in and found some little hearts that kind of matched. As it turned out, I actually had a couple of hearts that were old Stampin' Up, like self-adhesive enamel dots kind of thing, or enamel shapes, I think they called them at the time. And so I actually found like the saffron sort of colour, and the sort of a darker blue, I think it was must have been the Bermuda Bay colour for the chick and the duck. But the little bunny, I didn't have any from that sort of brand. The colours just weren't working. So I actually have a really old, like bought it at Poundland a million years ago, stash of like a whole bunch of hearts, and it had like glittering ones and smooth ones, and they're all there were pinks, blues and purples, and the purple worked really well with this. So you'll see that in a second when I add that on. I did that off camera just because there was a lot of going on here. So this is the final one for the little heart, little bunny, and I do think the heart next to the sentiment just makes a big difference. It's just an added little thing. And then the little chickie with all his glossy accents. And then, of course, the duck. I can't actually decide which one's my favourite, even though I sort of messed up the first background with the purple, but anyway, I still like it. So I hope you've enjoyed this, guys, and I hope you give this die a whirl. It is so much fun to do, and I will see you next time. Bye!